when we had just moved, this wooden roller coaster that they said couldn't be done, and we put in the Phoenix, we had an entire accounting firm come up with a price. And the price was something like $3 per ride. And Pete Knoebel at the time said, all right, thank you for your time, and I will pay you, and we're going to charge $1. And they said, no, the electricity, the labor, all the trucking that it used to get here, dismantling, engineering, coaster trains are not free. We strongly recommend, our studies show, $3. Okay, I heard you. I heard you the first time. Go get your pay, go get your check, and we're going to charge $1. Because he wanted people to, again, that whole Sam Walton way of thinking, he wanted people to get off the ride and get right back on.
Welcome to the Attraction Pros podcast, where we discuss the latest trends and challenges facing the attractions industry today.
We chat with some of the top leaders in the field and provide resources that will help develop your career in this great industry.
I am Josh Liebman. I am obsessed with the guest experience and helping attractions make that their top priority for success.
And I'm Matt Heller. I am passionate about organizational effectiveness, leadership development, and employee engagement.
Now sit upright, hold on tight, and get ready for the Attraction Pros podcast. Hey, Matt, how's it going?
It's going fantastic, Josh. How are you?
Doing great. So glad to hear that. And I am so excited for our guest today. We are chatting with Brian Knoebel from Knoebels.
Imagine that. His last name is the same name as the park. How does that work?
Well, what a coincidence. Cannot believe it.
Yeah.
No, this is an amazing interview. He is part of the Knoebel family, obviously, the owners of Knoebels Amusement Resort in Elysburg, Pennsylvania, the park that is more than 90 years old, closer to 100 even. They're in their 96th season, and we get to talk all about the history of the park, the tradition, blending the heritage with the demands that consumers have today. And I think more than anything, we just get to hear stories. This is a storytelling episode.
It really is. And I love the stories that he tells about his family and how they make decisions and how so very different their process is than so many other places that we talk to. Not to say that one's better or one's worse. I think this is just what works for them. And as a company that's been around as long as they have a pretty good track record. But I love his delineation of family versus business, and they're a family and then they're a business, right? And they've never had to make that distinction before. So I think that's a really great message that kind of weaves its way throughout.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that we could just talk about this interview all day and the lessons that we learned from it, but I think we should just hear it straight from Brian himself, and let's get straight to this interview.
Here we go. Brian Knoebel, so exciting to have you on the Attraction Pros podcast. How are you doing today, Brian?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking me to participate.
Absolutely. Couldn't think of a better person to talk to when you're getting ready to open. So super excited that you were able to spend some time, but I'm sure most people have heard at least your last name, but can you tell us a little bit about your history in the industry and obviously a little bit about Knoebels?
Absolutely. So I don't remember this, but my older brother, Rick, tells people that our first job in the park was separating the tickets, the ride tickets at the end of the night where people would pay per ride. We didn't know that blue was blue or red was red, but we knew that the colors were not the same. So our job, when the ride operators would come in and dump their ticket cans on the floor. So I was born 1973. So this is probably, 76 maybe. And we would separate the colors, and then the staff would count the tickets to know how much money the cash matched, the tickets in the can. Of course, now it's 45 years later, I'm waiting for back pay for that. So yeah, I'm a parkie, been doing this my whole life. And of course I love it, or I wouldn't be doing it. But I pretty much had about every job in the park Was never a lifeguard, but everything from mowing grass, picking paper, we've heard all the stories before of ride operations and games. And of course, we have a lumber yard and a campground that's both attached. They are both attached to the park. So it's food stands. I mean, being a Knoebel or maybe any owner of any family business, you don't have one role. You're taught to be the fireman. That doesn't mean you go where there's a fire, heaven forbid, but you go where the fires are. If you're needed to run a ride, a game, sell tickets, boy, as a kid, we used to roll posters for the poster pitch or blow up balloons for the dart game, fill the little sippers. It was all those park jobs, through the years that you did. So I went after high school, I went to college for food and hospitality management. I guess I thought my future was going to be in our catering and group sales, and which is a job my mom did. And I did it for about 15 years. I really couldn't learn anything else. And I felt like that tug to be in the park and to learn from my Hall of Fame, IAPA Hall of Fame father, Dick Knoebel. And I better start picking his brain, extracting everything out of his brain so I can relay it to everyone else. So, and the man has forgotten more than I'll ever know. And so what I try every day, pick his brain and ask his opinion and vision. So, and here we are. There's 8 of us, eight Knoebel family members. So co-owner, co-managers. We don't really have a title, per se. So that's about it. There we are.
So Brian, growing up with the upbringing that you had, most people do not get to grow up literally in an amusement park doing all these odd jobs and various tasks. Did you know that was, I would say, probably different than most other people's traditional upbringings who maybe get to go to an amusement park once a summer, once every couple of summers or so, but being able to live it and breathe it every single day?
I didn't. Knoebels was not overly busy when I grew up. I just thought it's what my parents did for a living. It was no different than if, somebody was a dentist or, worked in a warehouse. As the park started to grow, we had a Jetstar ride here, Schwarzkopf Jetstar. Park got a little busier. And I'll go in chronological order. Right in front of our park office, like if the two of you would come visit us here at Knoebels and where I would meet you, that was our kickball field. And it was just a little gravel area. And there was an old tree stump that was home plate. There was a phone booth. Kids today don't even know what a phone booth is. That was first base. A park bench was second base. And there was a crack in the concrete where our unofficial guest services, that was third base. And in a 45-minute game of kickball with my friends and family, you may have had to stop twice to allow people to go by. And this is, one of the main arteries through the park. And you'd only had to stop twice. Well, now, sheesh, you wouldn't have a man on second base without having to stop. So it really wasn't busy. I had a little red tractor, pedal, three-wheel tractor. I used to pull my cousin Trevor around the park in a little wagon, and it was just this was our backyard. It wasn't until when I rode rides, the excitement on my friends' faces, that I realized they don't get to do this every day. And I did. And I knew where to sit and what angle to lean at, and they didn't. And so kind of like subconsciously, I started noticing this. And then, of course, when we moved the Rocket from Playland Park in San Antonio, Texas, 1985, moved in 1984, opened here in 85. That's when that's kind of what really, really put Knoebels on the map. Then it got busy. So I was 12 years old then. And you would think I would remember conversations at the dinner table about my dad, I want to move a roller coaster. I didn't, that's Matt, you guys know that's how he talks. It's that deep marine voice. That's when it really started to dawn on me, this is a pretty special place. So, and continues to be today.
Absolutely. So Brian, you mentioned Trevor and you mentioned Rick. So obviously you're very close as a family. Can you talk about the dynamics that brings to running a family business? Because I know obviously that's part of your core, and you talk about it at IAPA, and you advocate for that all over the place. So can you talk to us a little bit about maybe the opportunities and challenges that brings?
Absolutely. So prior to my dad being the park president was Pete Knoebel. And there, he used to get a magazine like Family Business Magazine. And if he felt that you needed to read a certain article, well, he'd make a photocopy of it. And maybe in a passive aggressive manner, it was on your desk when you came in the next morning, but you knew who it came from and you knew that there was some meat and potatoes to it. Yes, so I'm on a couple IAPA committees. I love volunteering and helping out, the organization. And one of the things we put together every year is Phil Wilson helps me, and we do. We think it's a fun seminar. Is Family Matters. We're going to do it again at this year's IAPA 2022 in Orlando in November. And to hear the stories of the family businesses and the difficult decisions they've had to make through the years, where at one point they've had to decide, are we going to be a family or are we going to be a business? Here we are starting our 96th year and we haven't had to make that decision yet. And it's probably the most special thing for me being a family member in a family owned business. We are a family first. We don't have board of directors meetings. We have family meetings. And we each have our own responsibilities. Nobody really looks over each other's shoulders. You have my dad who did the maintenance end of things, and Buddy, in our biggest growth through the years, he staffed the rides, and at one time he staffed the rides, the games, and a couple of gift shops. And we've had to hire some managers as their roles, greatly increased through the years. It's a family meeting is fun. I'm not blowing smoke. To listen to I'm fourth generation, to listen to the third generation talk about when Buddy Knoebel visited Lagoon Park when they were moving. No, I'm sorry. Elitch Gardens when they were moving. And he took his son and daughter out there to say, look, in my opinion, this was Buddy talking, look what they did wrong. They're moving the park away from this beautiful canopy of trees. Don't ever do this. And one time, so the Pennsylvania parks get together twice a year. One year it was at Erie, up at Waldemere Park. Another family owned and operated, Paul Nelson and Steve Corman, and they do a tremendous job. And Dad, we went to Conneaut Lake, and there was my brother and I standing, and Dad kind of pacing back and forth like that drill sergeant. And he said, look around. You want this to happen to Knoebels? And basically, you have to. Sometimes it has to be first. Your family is supposed to be first, but sometimes the park has to come first. Especially if the creeks are rising and we get hit with a flood. But you have to work nights, you have to work weekends. It's not 52 weeks a year, but when you're open, like a farmer, you gotta make hay when the sun's shining. But it's probably the single most thing I'm proud of, that we are a family first.
That's so interesting and so fascinating to hear that, and all of the stakeholders involved going back several generations. I am curious about the uniqueness of the property itself, because you talked about comparisons to some other parks too. So if you're ever asked to explain what Knoebels is to someone who perhaps has never been before, maybe they've been to the other parks in Eastern PA or throughout the country or throughout the world, how would you describe Knoebels?
I've never been asked that question. That's a good one. It's that throwback, traditional, quintessential amusement park of yesteryear. We have no gate. Knoebels is free admission, free parking, free entertainment, and free picnic area. and you have the option to buy a wristband, but it's the a la carte option that we offer people where we feel grandma and grandpa get more satisfaction out of watching their grandchildren ride the ride than them themselves. So they don't need to buy a wristband. They can park for free. They can bring their own food. They can ride. Maybe they want to ride the train and the merry-go-round. Okay, now they're out $4, $5. That's it. Grandma and grandpa are on a fixed income. They didn't have to pay to park. They didn't have to pay an entrance fee. And, they're going to go home almost with that Sam Walton way of thinking, where they're going to enjoy the product better because they didn't pay as much for it. But I mean, boy, through the years, it was farmland. My ancestors used to make and sell charcoal. We were a Christmas tree farm. We were farmers. As the story goes, there are two creeks that join at the heart of our park. And they called them tally hoes. It was people that came in on horseback on the weekend and brought their wagon, and they parked, and my ancestors would feed and stable their horses for the day. Some stories are a nickel, some stories are a dime, some stories are a quarter. I wasn't alive then, I don't know. And the people would swim and picnic where those two creeks came together in that swimming hole. So it was then where my great grandfather put in some park benches, and actually the building, their homestead is our accounts receivable, accounts payable, and our payroll office today. And the barn is just 60 yards away. And as that story goes, and that was Henry Knoebel, and his wife was Hattie. And she said, it was one evening she yelled out, "Hen, what are you doing outside making all that racket?" And he said, "Well, I'm building picnic tables and park benches for the people that come swim." She said, "Well, if you do that, we'll never get out of here." So that would have probably been 1925, something like that. Because then in 26, we got a steam powered carousel. Then we started putting in a couple of games and a food stand. And, here we are, like I said, 96 years. And now we have 60 rides, over 24 games, 30 food stand, and an adjoining campground with over 600 sites and cottages and log cabins and primitive tent platforms. So the number one question is always, what would your ancestors think? So I hope I answered your question. What is Knoebels? That's I'm going to think about that one for the next podcast you guys signed me up for.
Well, Brian, I love to hear you talk about the history, and when you call it a throwback, as someone who's obviously been to Knoebels, there is that throwback feeling. It's very family friendly, very family oriented. And I'm curious sort of how you balance that with probably what the rest of the industry is focused on, is adding something new to bring new people in, right? So how do you balance, I guess, the tradition with bringing new things in so that you can attract new guests or give your guests something to do that's different than what they've done in the past?
Another good question. I should have done my homework. So you do have to offer some new things. When we started polling some people, asking some of our fans, what do you want to do? And so this was 2000, I don't know. So 2000, we put in Impulse 2015. So a few years before that, people said they want to go upside down. That's what they wanted to do. So Rick, Trevor, Jim Martini, and myself, we went roller coaster shopping. That was kind of fun. There aren't many perks of being a Knoebel, but that was one of them. We had a lot of fun doing that. And, down at IAPA and talking to people, we would give them a footprint. Of course, we have, the rides you can buy at IAPA Expo. But again, let's circle back, where we are, that, quintessential amusement park. What's our niche? It's almost recreating the past. We can't be a museum. Some of the rides in the past were very low capacity, and due to, safety regulations, they just cannot be, can't copy and paste. That's you can do that on a laptop, not in a park. So, I mean, yes, this year, our goal, if we can do it, is to open a Bear and Curve ride here in the park, very historical Schwarzkopf ride. We actually bought 2 of them, and we're working. We have a crew working on them almost every day. So we have some rides on the shelf to work on. Our staff comes in the morning and inspects rides, and then they get their jelly bucket and take a little break, and then hey, let's go tackle some of these projects to maybe a ride is nearing its lifespan, and we're just going to simply take that ride out, and we're going to while abracadabra and a historical ride is going to appear in that very spot. We do. One of the number one questions fans ask is, what's new for this year? What's new for this year? Many times we envision a family sitting at home at night with the iPad, maybe the telephone's on in the past and in the background. And, what do they want to do? Where do they want to go this summer? Do they want to go to the shore? Do they want to, go to Disney or Orlando? You have to offer something new, something different, something unique. Many times it's food. They want to come down and taste something. But we just have every year, you just can't, as a family owned park, and I think the other family parks would vouch, agree with us. We can't keep up. It's impossible to offer something new every year, but maybe you could mix things up a little bit. Maybe you can put a ride on the shelf and bring something back out. So I'm blessed, my family, because they keep coming back, and I don't know why, but it's a pretty special feeling when you're, and maybe we'll touch base on this in the podcast later, when you're in the park and you see a family here for the second time. That's a pretty special feeling.
Yeah, no, I'm sure that's got to be amazing. And I actually would love to even just go deeper into that. If you do offer something new, every year, hopefully that, that in and of itself brings people back. But even if you're not, what would you say, I would say gets people back to Knoebels each year?
I don't know. I think it might be something different for everyone. It's actually, it's fun. The t-shirt that I'm wearing is a family that's been coming here for like 60 years, and they camp every year, and they get a whole row of campers and they have they have a whole itinerary. And one night they meet at Fascination, and they play Fascination for 1 hour, and they do the fish fry on Friday nights, and they have breakfast together, and maybe Aunt Jessica, she cooks one night and then comes back down, and they go swimming. It's that's probably as far as, I brought up earlier, like say internally with the, we are a family first, on an external. Yeah. Now I'm going to ask people why they came back. But it's just, you're in the park and somebody recognized you, maybe from a podcast or a news and they could have went hiking. They could have went to a baseball game or the shore, and they didn't. They chose to come here, and it tells us we're doing something right. It's probably the most emotional feeling I get throughout the summer.
So Brian, can you talk a little bit more about seeing that family come back a second time or a third time or a fourth time? What does that say to you? How does that make you feel? What does that inspire you to do as the co-owner and co-manager?
Ooh. I make it a point to talk to them because our family is real. We don't sit in some ivory tower. We're out in the park. You'll often see Buddy Knoebel zooming around, helping his wife, Deb, with that she's in charge of the gift shops, and he's hauling merchandise from one end of the park to the other. But as any mentor would do, he always takes time to hop off the cart and help the guest get from point A to point B, or maybe give a hug to someone that he's seen here before. I think I can speak for all the family parks. They all do something special. Del Grosso's, I'm told that they have like a pasta night, and the family is expected to be there and shake hands with the guests that are there that evening. It's just basically saying thank you. Um, I guess I can circle back. It's just special, and I do get emotional. And I've gone up to the campground sometimes just to go sit. I don't often introduce myself as Brian Knoebel. I mean, most of the time, I don't even wear a name badge, or I'll even tuck the walkie-talkie behind me so they don't see that. I mean, Dick and Buddy don't wear a staff shirt, so they could be seen. I don't think Leanna does too often either. So we're kind of incognito. I don't know, but people recognize us, and it's nice to hear. And we love this. We love the food. We love the can you get this ride back open? Because COVID was such a big challenge for everyone. It's you might see them, even the locals, when they come down, because they don't have to pay to park or get in and pay to enter. They'll grab an ice cream cone and they'll sit by and watch the free entertainment. But it's wonderful seeing them. Same thing. They could have done anything, and they chose to come down here. So, and in fact, we allow dogs is on a leash. You're in charge of the little poopy if they might make one, but a dog is a part of a family. Cats, not so, fish, not so much, but a dog, yeah, they really are. And the camp, you can have it up at the campsite. You just got to keep it on the leash, and it's family atmosphere. Nothing beats it.
I've got to imagine that for some people coming to visit the park, seeing a Knoebel at Knoebels is like a celebrity sighting for some people. I've got to imagine it's like seeing Walt at at Disneyland, something like that.
We don't like to think so. And we put our pants on the same way everybody else does. I work 7 days a week, in the summer, and some of our staff has told us, like, don't look, as we're eating at one of the food stands, but the entire staff is staring at you. Like, oh, they're eating in our restaurant, in our food stand. They're eating here. They're riding this ride. I just wanted something to eat, Come sit with me. We're actually talking about rolling out a program that some other parks do where, maybe we're going to sit and do breakfast with Brian, or dinner with Dick, lunch with Leanna. And we're talking about rolling it out to a handful of employees who maybe have, gotten one of our way to go tokens that we pass out, throughout the park. It's just little Knoebels thing on that. Matt, I'll get you some of those when you come visit. And
all right, good.
You can distribute them on your road trip. So it's, guys, we're just simple people who just go to work every day, but we love what we do. And then it's not work. I mean, it's a little cliche, but I'm living it.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So when you talk again about family, not only in the people that are running the park, but also the people that are coming, that's a huge family atmosphere. And people over the course of time have been there to run the food stands and run the rides and things like that. And a lot of those folks are either, kind of satellite family members or family members themselves. But I'm wondering if you can talk specifically about the food, because you've won the golden ticket for many, many years to have the best park food in the country. And so, or I guess in the world. So what is it that makes Knoebels food so special?
So the first one's going to make you laugh. Through the years, when my dad was asked that question, his answer was always, food better be good because I eat all my meals here. And being that Marine, he would tell you, if the French fries weren't cooked enough, I don't like this tartar sauce, stop cheaping out on the sauerkraut for the hot dogs, or chili's too spicy. He never had a problem telling you exactly what he thought. Then maybe sometimes I think the world needs more Dick Knoebels. I really do. Longevity. One of my analogies recently was a storied high school football program has a coaching staff, typically has a coaching staff that has worked together for a long time. No different than, especially in our food service department. We hired a gentleman named Dan Williams in about 1986, and he's still with us. So He comes to work all the time, loves what he does, great mentor, and just a great all around person. He loves what he does. He's studying other menus, and he's going to fairs and taking pictures, and he's asking around. And then another gentleman we have that works full time for us is a gentleman named Tony Rodriguez. He was on a IAPA committee, and I believe he started with us in '99. So this will be his 23rd season for us. Same thing, and we'll attend the various food and beverage conventions, expos, both locally, but also throughout the nation. And so we have a couple food managers. Sometimes they challenge. My family doesn't have to get involved. They challenge each other. No, I found the best French fry. No, I found the best French fry. And sometimes, and if it's ice cream, well, not many parks can afford like a Haagen-Dazs, of course. I'm not by no means am I criticizing them. I love their ice cream. But maybe so we've had ice cream tastings down here. That's also a fun perk.
Yeah.
We got about 25 people, and we brought in, I don't know, a dozen different ice cream suppliers. And this one's too creamy. That one's not creamy enough. This one, too much chocolate, not enough chocolate. And but for most cases, winner takes all. There's a fun story about a naming of a ride in a Knoebel family meeting. If we have time, I can share that. But most times winner takes all, and then we go across the board. So it's I think there's a Facebook page about like food connoisseurs, I believe, park food connoisseurs, something like that. And we study that and ask around and what's popular. And I'm going to circle back. We eat all of our meals here. It's not just my dad.
Well, I think even just the statement of I eat all my meals here, I think that shows the level of commitment to quality control that can then lead to just obviously the best, highest quality food, versus if they were to say, oh, I don't need that. That's for the guests. I'm eating my own food over here. I brought my lunch today, whatever it is.
Yeah, my 19-year-old daughter just texted me yesterday. She attends University of Tennessee, and she said, down at Pete Owens' neck of the woods, and she said, Dad, when are we going to get those corn nuggets back? I love those corn nuggets. And I'm like, you know what? I do too. So what was the text to our food staff today? Let's bring those corn nuggets back this year. Yeah, we love those corn nuggets. So it sometimes just, it's organically how it happons.
Do you have a favorite food item? Hope the question's not too controversial there, but out of all the food you serve at the park.
No, not controversial at all. Look at me. I think I sample all the food. Somewhere I'm in my office right now, and somewhere I have a badge around here that says official food taster. So I don't know that I have a favorite. We're known for our chicken and waffles. We have a great fresh cut French fry. Our pizza is delicious. We have Mrs. T's pierogies that we use. Our banana splits. I challenge any one person to be able to eat that by themselves. My mouth is watering.
Me too.
Everything. It's chicken salad that's homemade. So much food in our Alamo restaurant is homemade. We do a spaghetti night. We do a fish fry and our macaroni and cheese. Our catering department will cater as many as 12,000 people on a Saturday with rotisserie chicken and hamburgers and hot dogs, and think of any picnic type food. Again, my mouth is watering.
Yeah.
I don't know that I have a favorite. I like all the above.
Well, that's why I asked if it's that you wouldn't favor one over the other, or the culinary team. But yeah, so that was a good diplomatic wide sampling there you gave us.
My brother Rick, when he's asked what his favorite ride is, he's always all of them. Right. So I'm going to use the same. I like all the food.
Yeah. So I would love to hear that story about the family meeting when you were naming the ride.
Oh boy. All right. So we were going to put a drop tower in. ARM, the guys, Mike Gill at ARM was phenomenal to work with. And so I think this was about '09. And okay, let's name it. And well, my dad wanted to call it OMG. Although catchy, that might be a little controversial. Let's not do this one, Dad. I want to name it OMG. So Dad, we had a team come up with like say 20 names. Sat in a family meeting and we just had a fun discussion. And we said, all right, we're kind of wasting time here. Let's create a list. So Leanna, for your first choice, you get 5 points. Your second choice is worth 3. Your third choice is worth 1 point. Same for Brian, Buddy, Rick, Trevor. And we sat in this meeting and I know my family, and I said, are you sure we're going to do this? Like, I don't want to hear that, I disagree. I don't want to hear. And I was just vocal. My dad runs the meeting and Buddy, of course. And I said, I'm just afraid we're going to do this. We're going to go through this whole voting and something's going to I said, guys, nope, we all agree. We actually made a motion to agree that whatever name is that's the one we're going with. We tally up, take a little break, and we're tallying up the scores, drum roll, and the winner is Stratosphere. And my dad slams his fist, I veto. No, we're not going to do this. We just said, he said, look, there's a lot of brain power in this room. He said, but there's even more brain power out there in the maintenance shops, in the gift shops, in the campground. I'm going to go ask them. And he left the meeting and he got in his golf cart and went for a ride. I guess the meeting's adjourned, isn't it? And so we had to schedule another meeting to come back, which we ended up choosing Stratosphere after all that. And what is the number one thing people say when they're coming down the drop tower? OMG. So, and he still says, he goes, told ya. And he'll say those things, looks like the teacher knows more than the student. So but we still laugh about it to this day. So, I mean, we put in the log flume in, I think about 1991, and that still isn't named because my family couldn't agree on a name. So, we have a potato cake stand. It's named Potato Cakes. And we have a soft ice cream stand that is named Soft Ice Cream. Because we can't agree, because it just, but it's fun. I mean, how many other board of directors meetings can you say and walk out of there laughing? And, when I part of my committee, Omid Omidafard from Santa Cruz, and there's been John Norris, and there's been Paul Nelson, a lot of family, and I've learned a lot through the years. Dino Fazio, and we have these discussions once in a while, and I would tell, I said, we would sit in there, and my dad would, he doesn't want to talk about something, he yells, next subject. What do? You move on to the next subject. And Buddy went to school for sociology. So sometimes he'll answer a question with another question. And you're kind of scratching your head and, well, you didn't really get an answer. So you move on to the next topic. So I told that story in one of our meetings once, and we broke for lunch and came back, and Omid said to me, Brian, he goes, you have me on the edge of your seat, or on the edge of my seat. I said, why? He said, you didn't finish your story. I said, Omid, what do you mean? He goes, well, your dad says next subject. Buddy says, he answers it in a question. How do you get anything done? I said, no, that was the punchline. It was the end. Like there, he goes, what do you do? And I said, it's dependent on how hard the no is. Sometimes the no is, all right, do it. I just don't want to know about it. Just hurry up and go get it done. Oh, but sometimes, Dick would let us know who carries the bigger stick. Then you didn't do it. Yeah. So you wanted a job the next day. So mom fired me a few times. Dad, I don't think dad's fired me, but mom, I got the boot. I got sent home. And then the next morning I would wake up and mom would be waking me up and telling me to get my butt to work. And I would be like, Mom, you just fired me. Don't talk back to me and get down there and help the team. Okay. Put on a staff shirt and you go, what were you going to do?
Yeah. That's great. That's great. Thank you for sharing that story.
Yeah.
One of the things I've always been curious about, we can go as shallow or as deep as you'd like into this, is the business model of Knoebels. Obviously, comparing to a traditional gated amusement park. You shared several stories, just over this interview, of the couple who will come and have an ice cream cone and watch the entertainment. And it's incredibly hospitable. I can imagine that, so many people must love it, but also balancing that with the business needs and obviously, having to maintain profitability. So I that's just an area I've always been curious from the pay-per-play business model in this industry.
I'm going to take you back to 1984, 85. Okay, I was only 12, but when we had just moved, this wooden roller coaster that they said couldn't be done, and we put in the Phoenix, we had an entire accounting firm come up with a price, and the price was something like $3 per ride. And Pete Knoebel at the time said, all right, thank you for your time, and I will pay you, and we're going to charge $1. And they said, no, the electricity, the labor, all the trucking that it used to get here, dismantling, engineering, coaster trains are not free. We strongly recommend, our studies show, $3. Okay, I heard you. I heard you the first time. Go get your pay, go get your check, and we're going to charge $1. Because he wanted people to, again, that whole Sam Walton way of thinking, he wanted people to get off the ride and get right back on. Now they rode the front. Now they want to go ride the back. Now, of course, our Phoenix is known across the world to ride the third seat. So now so we got our $3, and then they're going to go tell a friend. Okay, so now we have our $6. But if it was $3, they were probably only going to ride at one time. And we've just run with that model of value. Buddy Knoebel brings up value in, I would say quarterly. I don't know about every family meeting, but every third he brings up the term value. So it's tough predicting the future, especially when brochures have to go to print. And so here we are in November, just finishing up November 2021, just this past November, finishing up a very good year financially for us. A lot of people came to visit, and you hear throughout the industry that per caps are up. So now we're trying to predict the future. But okay, there was a change in our leadership in Washington, D.C. Is that going to lower gas prices? Is that going to raise gas prices? Our electricity is going to go up. Health insurance is going to go up. Okay, you always have to. So you have America's dealing with this bird, which is affecting the chicken price right now. But the brochure, I don't have a brochure in front of me right now, but the brochures have this price. So you're going to have a family reunion or a company picnic saying, look, you told us the chicken or the hamburgers was this price, and I want this price. That's what's in your brochure. Well, you can't account for fuel surcharges and trucking and all the what ifs. I don't need to go into full detail, but it's just the business model has just always been value, and it works. We have no other parks tried it, and I can't tell you why it hasn't worked, because it has worked here. Other parks, they've put up a gate and they've charged admission or they've charged parking. For some reason or another, man, it just works here. It really does. And I think that's what, our friends in the industry, our fans, even the locals, that they just special place.
Yeah. Well, and I think you have the history too, to tell you that, when you keep it a family and you don't have to have that family versus business discussion, that also helps inform your decisions, right? So you probably wouldn't come into the meeting and say, I think we should charge for parking. right? That probably wouldn't fly because that's not part of the hospitality that you provide, right? Or somebody, you're going to charge an entertainment pass when people come in, because that's not the model that you have, and that's not what the reputation is that you've built up, right? So I mean that wouldn't kind of enter into your decision making, I wouldn't think.
It doesn't even come up.
Yeah.
None of that even. We are a free admission, free parking park first. And then then once you're here, okay, sure. Sometimes we have the thought of, well, it's a little bit of a captive audience, but we do not talk about dynamic pricing like some other parks have done. That doesn't even come up in conversation. This is the price. And okay, maybe this year we're going to take one on the chin. We'll account for it next year. So
awesome.
And it honestly, God, it works. So
great. Brian, this has been such a fascinating discussion, and we're starting to wind down here. But in the meantime, if people want to get a hold of you directly, if they want to learn more about Knoebels, where would you send them?
So, of course, we have a website, knoebels.com, Knoebels, because people don't always spell it correctly, but we have a Facebook page, Instagram. We have TikTok and Snapchat. New this year, we have a Knoebels app. So we had one years ago. It just was a little generic, and we didn't have the resources to support it. So we didn't have park maps for a couple of years. So with everything, everybody knows the costs have gone up, and we ordered half as many maps at twice the price as what we did in 2019. So it was the first year bringing brochures, up-to-date brochures back, but we wondered, I don't know that we have to order as many because of the app. I mean, you still have children. They want to hold something. They want to be in charge. Little Billy wants to hold that map, and he wants to point at his favorite ride in the park. And of course, the older generation, they don't have a smartphone. So we provide the maps in the park and a brochure map. But for maybe everybody in between, you can download that. But I mean, we have a guest services team here in the park, and there's always a Knoebel on the property at all times. So we're here live and in person.
Awesome. Brian, like Josh said, this has been a great conversation. It's always great to catch up, but I can't let you go without asking about, how did you get a coffee named after you?
So let me think what year it was. About 2015 or 2016. I gave up. I drink a lot of soda. I run on caffeine, and I was finding myself drinking like a 6-pack of Pepsi per day, like bottles. And boy, was I fat. And I gave up soda. And in that 1 year, I lost 37 pounds. I still ate snacks, and I still ate park food and deep fried this and ice cream. I gave up soda. But then I found myself being exhausted. I needed something, and I was never a coffee drinker. So we have a Starbucks stand here in the park, and one of the baristas, she said, "I'm going to make you some." She's like, "You like chocolate milk?" Psh, everybody likes chocolate milk. And so she just added a shot of espresso to it, and little, but not two. So a mocha is officially 2 shots of espresso. So it just backed it off a little bit, gave me that little jolt in the morning, so I wasn't Mr. Poopy Pants every morning when I was be on the grounds. And it kind of just it took off. A BK special here at Knoebel. So if you go up to the Starbucks stand here in the park, you can order a BK special. There's a coffee shop in Elysburg named Profile Coffee Shop. They have a little button. Matt, I think you've gone. You're not a coffee drinker yourself, but you've seen it, right?
I've seen it, and I think it has your little picture next to it. Like when
It
people
does.
order, that's the POS button.
Yeah. I mean, we're a tight-knit community. Everybody knows everybody. And you can go in there and just order the BK special. So, but I'm afraid that chocolate in there is not helping my waistline.
That's funny. That's great.
Yeah.
Brian, as we start to, or as we wrap this up here, any final thoughts, any lasting words for our audience?
No. By the time anyone gets to see this, we will have 2 weekends that we've been open. Because as we're recording this, we open this coming Saturday, and the Penn State theme park is coming to do a behind the scenes. I think there's about 38 students. Cool. They're going to learn about flying turns and Phoenix and behind the scenes, and we have some fun things planned for them. The Great Ohio Coaster Club is coming. Then we'll have a Mother's Day weekend where all the moms in the park get a corsage, you get your picture taken with our characters, and your dogs. We talked about that if you want to bring your puppy. So our staffing's looking a little bit better than it was last year. So last year, many times we were only able to get about 40 rides open. So this year, our goal we think we're going to be able to get 50 open on a routine basis. So I encourage everyone to come and visit. I promise you will have a good time.
Absolutely, you will. As someone who's been there multiple times, it is such a great time. Throwback is a great term for it. And Brian, we just can't thank you enough for spending your time with us today. And for everybody who is out there watching and listening, just remember, we are all attraction pros. Thanks for listening to the Attraction Pros podcast.
Make sure to subscribe so you can tune in when new episodes release. And even better, please leave us a review on iTunes.
For more information, visit attractionpros.com.